The betrayal hit me like a glass shattering on tile that I had just opened my email that morning, expecting to see the flight confirmations for the vacation I had saved up for, 6 tickets to Cancun, a trip I wanted to give my family as a gift. My heart pounded as I scrolled. But when I looked closely, one name was missing. Mine.my seat was gone. My brother's name was there instead. Clear as day. Jonathan Miller. I blinked. Refreshed the page. Checked my spam. Nothing. Just silence where my name should have been, and then my phone buzzed. A text from Jonathan. Hey, sis. Don't worry, I handled everything. Family needs me more than you. You'll understand. Handled everything? He hacked my email. He stole my ticket. He deleted me from my own plans. That was the moment I realized my family's dream vacation had been rewritten. Without me in it. My name is Rachel Miller. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me, because I have one question for you. Have you ever been erased from your own family, as if you never mattered? That morning, I stared at the screen, my pulse drumming like thunder in my ears. I'd worked 2 jobs for 9 months. I'd cut corners, skipped dinners out, ignored my own birthday to save every dollar. All for this one act of love, and now my own brother had taken it. The door to my apartment creaked open, and I heard my mother's voice float down the hall. They'd come over early, suitcases already packed, excitement bubbling. Jonathan walked in last. Sunglasses pushed up like a celebrity. He grinned when he saw me, like nothing had happened. Ready to drop us at the airport? He asked casually, as if that was always the plan. The words hit like knives. He wanted me to drive them, to deliver them, to the vacation I'd paid for but wasn't allowed to join. I looked at my family's faces. My mom's hopeful smile. My dad's tired relief. My little sister twirling her beach hat in her hands. None of them knew. None of them saw what he'd done. Jonathan did. And he wanted me to stay quiet. My chest tightened, a war raging in my throat between screaming and silence. But I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I smiled, because something inside me had already decided, if Jonathan thought he could erase me, he was about to learn what it felt like to vanish himself. I drove them to the airport in silence. The minivan smelled of sunscreen and my sister's vanilla lotion. My parents chatted about excursions they wanted to try, ziplining, boat rides, late-night buffets. Jonathan sat in the passenger seat, legs spread wide like he owned the world, scrolling through his phone. He didn't glance at me once. Every laugh my mom let out stabbed deeper. Every word about our trip felt like another shovel of dirt on top of me. When we pulled up to departures, Jonathan clapped my shoulder. Appreciate you dropping us off, Ratch. Hold it down while we're gone. I turned and looked him in the eye. His smirk was infuriating, cocky, untouchable, like he'd won. My mom kissed my cheek, whispered, "Thank you for making this happen. You're the glue in this family." The glue. And yet I was being left behind. I forced a smile, hugged her, and watched them unload. Suitcases rolling. Tickets in hand. The trip of a lifetime walking away from me. I sat in the car, hands gripping the steering wheel, knuckles white. Then Jonathan did something that snapped the last thread. He looked over his shoulder, raised 2 fingers in a mock salute, and mouthed, "Stay home." The arrogance of it. The cruelty of taking what I built and rubbing it in my face. As I drove away, the highway lights blurred through my tears. But inside the grief, a strange calm began to spread. Like still water before a storm. Jonathan thought he'd cut me out. But he'd underestimated me. Back at my apartment, I opened my laptop and logged back into my email. He'd changed my password. I tried resetting. He'd linked his number. Locked me out completely. For a moment, rage burned so hot I nearly screamed. But then, a thought slid in, sharp, clean, undeniable. They couldn't fly without me. Every hotel reservation, every excursion booking, every detail was tied to my credit card. My name, my account. Jonathan had stolen my ticket. But I still held the strings, and strings, when pulled the right way, can make people dance. Or fall. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I planned one phone call at a time. One cancellation at a time. One quiet cut at a time. If Jonathan wanted me erased, then I'd erase the whole vacation, and by the time they realized, the sand beneath their feet wouldn't be warm, it would be quicksand. I started with the hotel. The sun had barely set, but my hands were steady on the phone. I gave the reservation number, my name, my card. The woman on the line chirped, "Of course, Ms. Miller. Would you like to cancel your stay?" "Yes," I said. My voice didn't even shake. "Cancel all of it." I could almost hear Jonathan's future voice, rising in anger, when they'd arrive in Cancun to find themselves standing in a lobby with no rooms, no welcome drinks, no beds waiting. Just heat and humiliation. Next, the excursions. The catamaran ride. The jungle zip line. The guided cave swim. All cancelled, all refunded straight to my account. One by one, I unraveled the dream I'd woven. And with every cut, I felt lighter than the flights. That was trickier. Jonathan had swapped my ticket for his, but the booking still carried my purchase record. I couldn't cancel their boarding passes, not without raising flags. But I could do something else. I called the airline, voice calm, rehearsed. "Hi, this is Rachel Miller. I'm the primary on a group booking. I need to make some adjustments." Adjustments. That word tasted delicious. "Sure," the rep said. I changed seat assignments. Split the family across different rows, middle seats squeezed between strangers. Deleted their meal selections. Removed their baggage upgrades. Every comfort they thought they had? Gone. It wasn't about ruining the trip. Not yet. It was about reminding Jonathan that I existed. That this was mine. When I hung up, my apartment was dark, lit only by the glow of the laptop screen. I stared at my reflection in the glass, pale, tired, but alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. Jonathan thought I was weak. Thought I'd roll over like always. But this time, he'd miscalculated. My phone buzzed. A message in the family group chat, "Mom, landed safely. Can't wait for tomorrow. Love you, Rachel." Jonathan, holding it down for us back home, "Huh sis? Don't worry, I'll send you pics." I stared at his text until my vision blurred. My thumb hovered, then typed 3 simple words, "Enjoy your stay, because tomorrow morning." When they tried to check in at that hotel, the only thing waiting would be a locked door, and Jonathan would finally feel what it was like to be left outside. The first call came at dawn. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, dragging me from sleep. I saw my mother's name flashing, heart pounding. For a moment, guilt whispered, but I silenced it before it grew teeth. I answered with a calm voice. "Hey, Mom. How's the trip?" Her breath hitched. "Rachel. The hotel says we don't have a reservation. They told us everything was cancelled." Behind her voice, chaos swelled, my little sister whining, my dad snapping at someone in broken Spanish. Jonathan swearing under his breath. I bit my lip to keep from smiling. "That's strange," I said softly. "Maybe there's been a mistake." Jonathan's voice roared in the background. "Don't play dumb, Rachel. You did this. I know you did this." He snatched the phone. "Fix it. Right now." I sat up in bed, sunlight spilling across my sheets. "Jonathan," I said, steady as stone, "you erased me from my own vacation. You thought I'd just sit here while you enjoyed what I paid for. You're petty. You're jealous. This was for the family, not just you." His voice cracked under the weight of his rage. I let silence hang until it hurt. "Family," I whispered. "Funny how that word only counts when it benefits you." He cursed and hung up. Hours later, my mom texted, "We found a cheap hotel. Not what we planned. Please, whatever's going on between you and Jonathan, don't punish the rest of us." Her words cut deep. She didn't know. She couldn't. But Jonathan knew. And that was enough. I opened my laptop again. Their excursions, their seats, their comfort, all gone. But I wasn't finished. I logged into the travel insurance account, one I'd purchased as backup. I filed claims for cancelled plans, each refund spiraling back into my bank like quiet applause. Money was flowing back to me, piece by piece. While they baked under the Mexican sun, I was reclaiming every dollar Jonathan tried to steal. By evening, Jonathan texted me directly, "You've made your point. Stop. Or I swear, when I get home, you'll regret it." I stared at his threat, my chest hollow with something darker than fear. Regret? No, he had taken my kindness and buried it. Now I was burying him in the same grave. So I typed back one sentence. "This is only the beginning," because revenge wasn't just about money. It was about teaching Jonathan what it felt like to be invisible, and the lesson had only just begun. By the third day, The cracks were showing. My mom's texts came less cheerful, more frantic. The hotel's dirty. The pool is closed. Your father is miserable. Your sister cried herself to sleep. But it was Jonathan's silence that told me everything. No smug photos. No gloating. No fake charm. Just silence until the call came. Rachel. His voice was low, ragged. You've humiliated me in front of everyone. Fix this. Now. I leaned back in my chair, the glow of my laptop painting my face. Humiliated? I repeated, slow and deliberate. Jonathan, you humiliated me the moment you stole my ticket. You're acting crazy, he shouted. You're tearing the family apart. No, I cut in. You did that when you decided you mattered more than me. There was a beat of silence, broken only by his uneven breathing. Then he snapped, you were never supposed to come anyway. You're not the fun one, Rachel. You're not the one people want around. I did everyone a favor. His words hit like a knife, but they didn't bleed me. They sharpened me because now, the truth was out. He didn't just want my seat, he wanted me erased. Period. Funny, I whispered. If I don't matter, why are you begging me now? The line went dead. An hour later, my mom called. Her voice trembled. Rachel, what's happening? Jonathan is? He's lashing out. He yelled at your sister in the lobby, at your father in the street. He's not himself. I closed my eyes, let the words wash over me like a tide. Not himself? No. This was exactly who he was, selfish, entitled, cruel. They were just finally seeing it. That night, I made my boldest move yet. I logged into the airline again. With the insurance claims processed, I requested an early return for their tickets. I pushed their departure date forward, to tomorrow, their dream week? Over in 3 days, the system confirmed, flights adjusted. Departure, 11:05 a.m. I sat there in the dark, heart pounding, a strange mix of fear and power twisting inside me. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was truth, because when my family landed back home, they wouldn't just remember a ruined vacation. They'd remember who ruined it, and Jonathan's mask would be shattered for good. The plane landed at JFK on a gray Thursday afternoon. I knew because my phone lit up with the group chat. Landed. Home. Never again. No emojis. No exclamation points. Just exhaustion. I was waiting. Not at the airport, no. I wanted the silence of home to do the talking. I left my apartment door unlocked, the air heavy with the smell of coffee and rain. At 5:17 p.m., the knock came. 3 sharp raps. My stomach twisted, but I didn't flinch. I opened the door. Jonathan stormed in first, sunburn peeling, eyes bloodshot, jaw tight enough to crack. Behind him trailed my parents and sister, weighed down with crumpled bags and silence. He shoved the door shut with his shoulder. You think you won, Rachel? He hissed. You think this little stunt makes you powerful? I met his eyes, calm. No, Jonathan. It makes me visible. My mother stepped forward, her voice raw. Rachel, why? Why would you do this to us? We were supposed to be together. I turned slowly, my gaze sliding to Jonathan. Ask him, I said. Ask your son who stole my ticket. Who hacked my email. Who erased me from the vacation I paid for. The room went still. My dad's brow furrowed. My sister gasped. My mom blinked like she'd been slapped. Jonathan's laugh was brittle, desperate. She's lying. She's making this up, but his voice cracked, and the silence that followed told the truth. I stepped closer, my words sharp enough to cut glass. You wanted me invisible, Jonathan. You wanted to enjoy what I built while I stayed home. So I let you taste it. Being erased. Being unwanted. Being left outside. He swallowed hard, mask slipping. My sister's small voice broke the tension. Did you really? Take her ticket? Jonathan didn't answer. He couldn't, and in that silence, everything shifted. My mother's face collapsed into disappointment, my father's into anger. The betrayal wasn't mine anymore. It was his. Jonathan turned back to me, eyes burning. You think they'll side with you forever? You humiliated us all. You'll regret this. But his threat sounded hollow now, stripped of power. Jonathan vanished into silence after the confrontation at my apartment. No late-night texts, no smug comments in the family chat. But silence from him wasn't peace, it was a storm building behind closed doors, and I knew storms like Jonathan didn't just pass. They struck when you least expected. So, I moved first. On Monday morning, I walked into the bank with a folder under my arm. Inside, everything. Hotel confirmations, excursion bookings, flight changes, refund receipts. My paper trail. My proof. The banker, a woman in a navy suit with neat curls pinned back, scanned the documents with sharp eyes. "This is extensive," she murmured. "Yes," I said. My voice was steady, my hands calm against the polished desk. "All of it was purchased on my card. I'd like the account annotated so there's no dispute about ownership." She stamped the documents, slid them back across the table. The sound of rubber on paper was like a gavel. Official. Unshakable. When I walked out of the bank, the city air felt lighter. If Jonathan tried to twist the story, if he tried to pin blame, he'd find himself buried under records signed and sealed with my name. By Thursday, my parents invited me to dinner. The house smelled like roasted chicken, rosemary, and the faint musk of tension. My little sister fiddled with her fork, eyes darting between us. My mother kept her lips pressed thin, her hands knotted in her lap. Jonathan sat across from me, sunburned skin peeling along his jaw, his once cocky grin nowhere to be found. He avoided my eyes, stabbing at his plate like it had wronged him. The silence stretched until my dad set his fork down with a sharp clang. "Jonathan," he said, voice like stone. "You owe your sister an apology." Jonathan froze, fork in midair. His eyes flicked to my father, then to me. His jaw clenched, a muscle twitching. He looked cornered, like a predator caught in its own trap. My mother's voice was softer but no less firm. "You took her place. You lied. You put us all through hell. Say it." My sister finally whispered, "Just tell the truth." The room pressed in around him. The arrogance that had carried him through the airport, through the stolen seat, through every smirk and jab, it was gone. What was left was a man stripped bare. "Finally," he muttered, low and bitter, "I shouldn't have taken your ticket." It was a weak apology, thin as tissue paper, but it was still an acknowledgement. The first thread pulled from his carefully woven mask. I leaned forward, my voice quiet but cutting. "You didn't just take my ticket, Jonathan. You tried to erase me. Don't ever forget that." His eyes burned, shame and fury tangled, but he couldn't speak. Not with our parents watching. Not with the truth finally laid bare, and for the first time, I didn't feel small at that table. I didn't feel like the shadow. Jonathan was the shadow now, because for the first time in my life, the room wasn't against me. It was against him, and that was a victory no cancellation could buy. Jonathan didn't speak to me for days, not a text. Not a call. Just silence, the kind that carries teeth. But silence is only dangerous if you're afraid of it. And I wasn't afraid anymore. Instead, I went to the bank. I sat across from a woman in a navy suit and slid the folder across the desk. Receipts, statements, flight records, cancellations, and refunds, every thread that tied the trip back to me. "This was all charged to my account," I said evenly. "And I'd like it legally noted that I am the sole cardholder." She skimmed through the papers, eyebrows lifting. "Ms. Miller, it looks like you've already been refunded most of this." "Yes," I said, letting the word linger. "But I want a record. In case anyone claims otherwise." She stamped the folder. "Official. Final. Mine. By the weekend, my parents invited me over for dinner. The air at the table was heavy. No vacation photos, no cheerful stories. Just silence over roasted chicken and mashed potatoes. Finally, my dad set down his fork. "Jonathan owes you an apology." Jonathan froze across the table, fork halfway to his mouth. His jaw tightened, but my father's glare didn't waver. My mom's hands were folded, white-knuckled. My sister avoided his eyes. I waited. Jonathan swallowed hard, words dragging out of him like barbed wire. "I shouldn't have taken your ticket." The apology was hollow, but I didn't need sincerity. I needed acknowledgement. And I got it. I leaned forward, my voice calm, almost gentle. "You didn't just take my ticket, Jonathan. You tried to erase me. Remember that." His face burned crimson. Rage, shame, all of it tangled. He wanted to explode, but he couldn't. Not with everyone watching, and for the first time. He was the one trapped in silence. Weeks passed, the vacation they once dreamed about had turned into a wound my family didn't dare touch. My mom avoided the subject. My dad threw himself into work. My sister whispered her side of the story to friends at school, where Jonathan's arrogance became gossip and ridicule, and Jonathan? He shrank. No more cocky grins, no more smug texts. He kept to himself, a shadow of the man who once thought he could erase me. One night, I sat on my balcony with a glass of wine, the city humming below. I opened my phone and scrolled through the refund confirmations one last time. Every dollar had returned to me, but it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the silence in Jonathan's eyes every time he saw me. The way my parents no longer looked at him with blind pride. The way he avoided family dinners, skipped holidays, kept his head down. He hadn't just lost a vacation. He'd lost his power, and I had reclaimed mine.